Okay, so I finally watched this movie and you know what? It's good. I know I'm just as surprised as you are. Hello everyone, this is IC Abyss here and today we are going to talk about The Flash. And before we start this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Now I was actually optimistic about this movie when I made a reaction video to this trailer. Obviously I had to mention the cheesy CGI that was in the trailer, and after finally getting the chance to watch this movie, I can confirm the CGI is even worse than what the trailer had led on. As for the story, I think it was really charming as hell. I really like most of the characters in this movie, although I was never a big fan of Ezra Miller as the Flash, because to me it always feels like DC was trying to emulate Marvel's Spider-Man. I think Flash should be treated as a character of his own rather than trying to morph him into Tom Holland's Spider-Man. The story definitely has a lighter tone to it than the animated Flashpoint movie that I had watched a couple of years ago, but this movie does get serious and even emotional where it needed to be, and I really admire that characteristic of a movie to be able to hit all the emotional beats properly. Recently Marvel movies have only focused on the comedy aspect, which makes them hard to take seriously, but this movie definitely balances out the comedy and serious and emotional beat. Another thing that I like is that this movie is filled with so many cameos and callbacks. There's even a Nicolas Cage Superman, which is really amazing to see, although I will say again, the CGI was the worst part of this movie. Personally, I'm not going to hold the CGI against this movie too much. This was just a fun movie that I watched to have fun, and it does exactly that. But even so, some parts of this movie felt like they were cutscenes from a PlayStation 2 era video games. I swear to God, I am not exaggerating this. I know YouTubers like to exaggerate things, but I am saying it exactly as I've seen it, especially towards the end with cameos of Nicolas Cage and an older Superman and a Supergirl cameo. So yeah, CGI was definitely the worst part of this movie. Now I want to talk about my favorite character in this movie, and that has to be Supergirl. I was really worried that they were going to give her the same treatment Marvel gave to Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, but surprisingly they didn't, and it does pays off in my opinion. I really liked her character, her story, her costume, her acting, everything about her character was amazing, and in my opinion she was the best part about the whole movie for me. Speaking of costumes, I already did mention that I liked Supergirl's costume. I think it was nice and simple, but not too simple at the same time. I also liked Flash's costume for the same reasons, except for the fact that Flash had his costume a tad bit too tight on his booty. It just felt a bit weird, and sometimes it felt like his bare ass was hanging out in red color, but yeah, I just thought that it was a bit weird and funny. I just want to finalize this review by saying that the whole movie was great except for the ending, which was weird and totally unnecessary, mostly because this is a Zack Snyder's universe which has basically come to an end, and there is probably never going to be another continuation of this movie, so this movie ending on a cliffhanger was just unnecessary. Okay, that was my whole review for this movie. All in all, it wasn't perfect but good fun and good action sequences. It's great if you love superhero movies. Now I want to talk about why this movie bombed so hard at the box office. I can't exactly say why it bombed. One of the reasons some people might say is that this movie just sucks, and that's reason enough, but like I said, it wasn't a bad movie per se. I was reading on Wikipedia and saw that this movie lost $200 million. That is such a massive blow to Warner Bros. And movies just don't feel like this. I have my own theory, or theories in this case, that the big reason this movie failed is because of the reputation of Ezra Miller in this movie. You guys would know it better than me how much Ezra Miller is hated. Another reason would be word of mouth. A lot of people were simply hating on this movie just for the sake of it. So obviously word of mouth is a strong key factor why a movie either succeeds or fails. Another reason could be the awful CGI. Obviously, the trailer was not doing any favors to the movie, and the movie had even worse CGI than the trailers had led on. So that could have been another reason why it failed. I also think that Warner Bros. Themselves knew that this movie was gonna bomb, and they decided to release this movie as is without spending any more money on it, because they knew it was going to lose money anyway. Another reason could be that people already knew that this would be the last movie in Zack Snyder's universe, which makes it irrelevant because there won't be another movie to continue the story of this movie. Another reason could be that superhero fatigue is real and people are simply just not into superhero movies anymore. I think superhero movies were at their height when Endgame was released, but Marvel has failed to make quality content after that, save for Spider-Man No Way Home. And after watching so many bad superhero movies, I think people are just over it now. Again, I don't think that these were the exact reasons why this movie failed. I think it just might be an amalgamation of all of those reasons, some might more than the others, why this movie failed. Well, that's all I needed to say about this movie, and I'm going to watch Guardians 3 and review that next week. This is it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.